Welcome to the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck podcast. I'm your host, Melyssa with the Y. Join me for conversations about creating mindset and behavior changes that build a healthier, happier you. Let's drop the struggle and say hello to healthy living made easy, entertaining, and empowering. What is going on, y'all? Hey, and happy July if you're listening to this when it releases live. We just had our 6-month goal reset, which I dubbed our mid-year reflection and goal reset workshop. It was an awesome time. It really opened up my eyes to things that I have maybe been slacking on in my own life. It's so funny because I am a huge personal development junkie. I try to do the work, and the repetition never hurts. There are so many messages that you just need to hear over and over and over and over and over again before it really starts to sink in. And one of those messages that really stuck out to me as I was facilitating this workshop that I realized I haven't done a whole lot for myself lately was really getting clear, finding that clarity around where you're starting and where you want to end up, how you want your life to look like, how you want to feel. And that's ultimately your roadmap to where you want to go, right? You need to figure out what that endpoint looks like for yourself. What is that destination that you're striving for to start figuring out what are the steps that it's going to take to get there? Now, when I tell you I can be the queen of avoidance, that is no lie whatsoever. But the more that we try to be like an ostrich and kind of stick our head in the sand and just ignore everything that's going on, it's only going to get worse for ourselves because we can't change what we're not paying attention to. I'm listening to the book 2 Weeks Notice from Amy Porterfield, mostly because for my business, my theme of June was really trying to get back to basics. And you know what? That is going to bleed over into July because I just keep realizing that the more that I think I have a foundation set for myself, the more I recognize I could be doing to better set myself up for success. And I felt like that was really relevant for goal setting too, because a lot of times we'll get excited about things, we'll jump into trying something new or getting started on a new goal or new project. And then as that excitement starts to kind of wane, we kind of shift gears and start something else. At least if you're anything like me, that's typically what tends to happen. And when we follow through on goals, we get that hit of accomplishment. We get that little boost of dopamine that comes with achieving something, no matter how small it might seem. And I was starting to reflect on, what has the last 6 months for my life and my business looked like? And I realized there's a lot of things that I have accomplished that have led up to some really cool milestones. Like I actually just got my my official certification to be a certified woman-owned business through the WBENC. And that is huge because that shows that I have a business that is majority woman owned. So that will help to set me apart when it comes to seeking out contracts and seeking out business opportunities, because it's really emphasized that, or not emphasized, it's incentivized for businesses to hire from minority groups. So since women are minority, not like racially minority, but minority business owners, this is getting really complicated. I didn't expect to go here on this episode, but here we are. There's different incentives like tax breaks and just showing that, you're supporting woman-owned small businesses and things like that for having the certification. Now, when I tell you I wanted to rip my hair out through this application process numerous times, there were times where I was like, fuck it, I don't need this. Like, it's not worth it. But it showed me, because part of the application process was having your business basics down. And I didn't want to look at that. I didn't want to admit to myself that, like, oh, Melyssa, this is probably an area we need to get a little bit better at. And so again, my default is wanting to avoid that shit. Like, I don't want to look at it. I want to pretend like it doesn't exist, just like I'm trying to do with my student loans right now. But that's only going to last for a few more months. And then I'm going to have to face the harsh reality of starting to pay those back. But all of that to say is this was a really big goal. And looking at the application process, if I had tried to sit down and knock out that entire application in like within a week, let's call it, I would be miserable, absolutely miserable. It was not a process I enjoyed. It was not fun for me. There were very overwhelming parts of the application in addition to the application itself. And so what did I have to do? Well, I got clear on why I wanted this certification in the first place. And from there, I just tried to chunk it down to the smallest possible bite-sized pieces that I could. I went to the easiest parts of the application so that I could get a quick win and start to see that progress bar fill in, right? Because I find that motivating. When I see that there's like little bits of progress being made on the progress bar, I'm like, woo, okay, here we go. As a side note to that, my team and I were looking at our Enneagram numbers. I know this episode's all over the place already, but like, stay with me here. I promise that there is a purpose to this episode. But we were doing our Enneagram types, and mine was primarily a 3, which is the achiever. And when I tell you I was not surprised when I was reading like what all that means, it's like fear of being worthless, like wanting to contribute and leave a legacy and be well known, like wanting to make a difference, thriving off of attention. I felt a little personally attacked by that, but I was also like, that's actually accurate. Like that was why I was thriving when I was performing at SeaWorld, why I love speaking engagements, because I get to make a positive impact in a way that I'm also like this in the spotlight, the center of attention. I hate admitting that to myself, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Like the world needs people like me to not be fearful of those opportunities, to actually enjoy them and to be able to share my knowledge in a way that's educating and entertaining. So I digress. All of that to say, when we're looking at some of those big, overwhelming goals, especially for the mid-year reset workshop, we were looking at like, how do we want to feel December 31st, 2023? Like, what are we hopeful to accomplish between now and then? And it really just like, you think about where you want to go and how you want to be feeling, how you want to look, what you want to have accomplished. And there's in the place that I'm at right now, when I think about those things, it almost feels a little defeating and disappointing that I'm not closer to being in those places than I would want to be. And that's just a mindset thing that you really have to focus on shifting. Part of that is recognizing like you have a desire to make positive changes. And that's a huge first step. I'm just now realizing I never finished my story about why I was listening to 2 Weeks Notice from Amy Porterfield. Let's circle back to that. Okay. Ew, circle back is such a corporate term. Okay. Let's revisit that. Let's go with that. So this book is basically like a business building blueprint, right? So I realized that in the space that I was at in my business, I really needed to go back to basics and to be able to set that strong foundation for myself, not one that was like a little solid, but mostly crumbly that like I can build upon, but maybe it's not going to be sustainable. So I really recognize that I need to revisit to build that strong foundation. And I've heard a lot of good things about this book, so I'm listening to it on audiobook. And in the book, she talks about ways that we sabotage ourselves, right? And her quote was something along the lines of, awareness is the first key in overcoming sabotage. And I just thought that was so relevant. It was so relevant to kind of where we find ourselves. At the time I'm recording this episode, it's July 1st. It's the first of the month. It's the kickoff to the halfway point of the year where we have only 6 more months left in this year, 2023. And so what are we going to do with these last 6 months of our lives? and well, not of our lives, of this year in our lives. Whoa, that sounded really doom and gloomy there. Okay, coffee lovers, I want to introduce you to my all-time favorite supplement from K-Pow Nutrition, which is their chocolate collagen peptides. I use it every single morning in my coffee, and it just makes it taste so chocolatey and delicious, and it's like dessert for breakfast, and who doesn't love that? But the benefits of collagen are that it's going to help keep your hair, your skin, and your nails healthy and happy. And that is something that all those things deserve. So here's a little bit more about K-Pow Nutrition. This episode is brought to you by K-Pow Nutrition. One of my friends happens to be a doctor of physical therapy and a master trainer who knows firsthand the struggle of finding clean, high-quality supplements that actually work. So she decided to take matters into her own hands and created K-Pow Nutrition, a line of performance and daily lifestyle supplements. You may be wondering, what sets K-Pow Nutrition apart? Well, all of their products are crafted from the finest all-natural ingredients. Not only are these supplements clean and effective, but they absolutely taste amazing. So finally, you can fuel your body with confidence, knowing that you're getting the best. Whether you're a super busy mom keeping up with all your energetic kiddos, or a dedicated, multi-passionate professional, K-Pow Nutrition is here to support you every step of the way. You're a change maker if you're listening to this podcast, so that means you deserve supplements that help you shine your light the absolute brightest. Oh, and by the way, just for being a listener of the podcast, here's a little treat for you. Use the code CHANGEMAKER, all one word, for 10% off your order at kpowsupplements.com. You won't want to miss out on this opportunity to power up your lifestyle change journey with K-Pow Nutrition. Now, let's go out there and shine our big, beautiful light together, change makers. All right, let's get back to the episode. What do we want to accomplish? How do we want to feel? Getting clear on what we desire for ourselves so we can reverse engineer those goals. And I know this is something I've already talked about on this podcast, but just like I was saying, the repetition piece of this can be really key in pushing yourself to that next level, into taking that good hard look in the mirror and getting yourself to say, all right, like, here's where I'm not happy. Here's where I'm not satisfied. What do I need to do to become satisfied in those areas, to make changes that I feel happy with? And taking that good hard look in the mirror is difficult because, like I said, I am the queen of avoidance, but it really offered me the opportunity to take that step back and do my own reflection as I was facilitating this workshop. And let me tell you, I'm actually going to go back and revisit it for myself to really take some time to map this stuff out and focus on, what's important to me right now. What do I feel confident with changing? What am I excited to work on? How do I want my life to look in 10 years? That's something that I really haven't taken the time to revisit in a very long time. And I just find that we don't allow ourselves to daydream as much as we used to. Like when we were kids, we used to think like anything was possible. And as we become adults, we just start to shut that down before we even allow ourselves and give ourselves permission to dream big. So what would educate be? Educate would be revisit maybe some of the things that you've invested in for yourself before, like old programs, old coaching books, maybe even re-listening to audiobooks that you own. Revisit things that could serve as fresh reminders for you. Or I guess it would be more of like a refreshed reminder, if you will, to get yourself to a point that you're creating this space to give yourself permission to daydream about what you want your life to look like. From there, as we move into empower, do a little check-in with yourself. Like, which life areas do you feel satisfied with? Which life areas are like, they're okay, but they're not great. And then which life areas are you totally not satisfied with. And then figure out where do you want to start making some changes? And after you find that life area, my engage for you for this episode would be to really take some time to sit down and set a goal for that particular life area. Just focus on putting your whole ass into that one goal versus trying to half-ass a whole bunch of other goals, okay? Take that time to clarify how you want your life to look in the next 6 months, and then backtrack that into what goals can you set for yourself? What are the big milestones that need to happen to bring you to that point that you desire to be 6 months from now? And break that down even further. What are the steps, the action steps that you would need to take to reach those milestones, and set the goals around those action steps, those behaviors? And if you want some help with this, I actually have the 6-month goal reset workshop that I am releasing from the workshop that we hosted just this week. Oh my gosh, that was last night. At the time I'm recording this, that was just last night. Wow. It's been a long week, y'all. So that is going to be available for purchase. And since you are tuning into the podcast, I want to offer you the coupon code KICKASS2023. So KICKASS, all one word, and then the numbers 2023 to save 50% off on this course, because I am converting it into a full-on workshop course so that you can also get the 6-month goal reset workbook that goes along with the workshop. And you can hear me saying the word work a lot. That's because y'all got put in the work. You know what I'm saying? So it's great that you're tuning into the podcast. It's great if you're investing in programs and products. And I am mostly speaking to myself when I say this, but it's a great message to share anyway. Knowledge is not power, y'all. Applied knowledge is power. You got to put into work what you're learning and actually use the information that you are gaining in your life to see the benefits. It's not enough to just be a sponge with all of this stuff. You actually got to put it into action. And I know I am totally guilty of wanting to learn all the things. One of the many coaches that I follow, I don't remember who coined this term, but they called it procrasti-learning. And it's so very true. Like, I don't know if that's just the entrepreneur side of me or if there's like a tad of the ADD side, that comes out with this, but I love learning new things. I'm not the best at putting it into practice. So that is a goal that I indeed set for myself as I move forward on this journey with all of you. So I feel like it's a very valuable reminder to share. And I hope that if you're not already in our Changemaker community, that you will join me in our free Facebook group where I'll be sharing motivational posts. We're going to do a monthly goal setting workshop, so that way we can have a little bit of accountability as well. Occasional guest speakers, all the good stuff. And then keep an eye out, because the Changemaker Collective, which is our group well-being coaching membership, is going to be relaunching either end of July or early August, depending on how long it takes me to get my shit together. But I am so excited because we have such an amazing group of people right now that we would love to welcome you in and join us on just creating our healthiest, happiest selves together. That's really the whole point of the group, providing some additional accountability and support, and just getting to know some awesome and amazing people. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Okay, everyone, that's going to do it for our episode today. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I do want to give y'all a heads up that next week, episode 11, because if you know me, then you know that double numbers are my absolute favorite. So I am planning on making each season of this podcast 11 episodes. So after next week, I will be taking a little bit of a break, but then we will be back in action. I plan to have some guest interviews ready for you all. There's an amazing lineup of people that I cannot wait to have on this podcast. But wanted to at least get this out into the world, start figuring out things on my end and really, working out the kinks before I start welcoming some other guest experts onto the show. But I cannot wait to see what the last half of 2023 holds for all of us. So until next time, Changemakers, take care, stay healthy, and be well.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck. I'm so grateful to have you here with us, joining our Changemaker movement. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you'd subscribe and rate and review this show wherever you're tuning in and listening. It helps more people discover the show and grows our community of changemakers. Please connect with us on social media and follow us on Instagram at Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck for some behind the scenes looks, bonus content, and updates on new episodes. And don't forget to grab your copy of the book on Amazon. Thanks again, Changemakers, and I can't wait for you to tune in next week.